Okay, so have you ever like found yourself scrolling through the App Store and you think,
Oh, totally.
I could totally make this, but like way better?
Yeah,
That's kind of what we're diving into today, that whole world.
it's huge.
It's mobile app development, right?
Huge, yeah. And it just keeps
Yeah,
growing.
feels like it's exploding. And
It's
honestly,
simply,
every company needs an app now. So
yeah.
to help us figure all this out, we've been digging into RoleCatcher.com.
Oh, cool.
And they're all about,
Catching your dream career, yeah.
yeah, catching that dream career.
Nice.
And they have a ton of info specifically on becoming a mobile app developer. So
Awesome.
let's break it all down.
Yeah, let's unpack it because a lot of people, I think, they hear mobile app developer and they just think, oh, coding.
Right. It's just code, code, code.
But it's so much more than that.
So much more. So before we get into all that techie stuff,
Yeah.
let's talk about what a mobile app developer actually does.
Okay, so day to day.
Yeah, like what's their day look like?
It's easy to get caught up in the buzzwords and everything, but honestly, at the core of it,
Yeah.
it's about being a problem solver.
Oh,
You're taking an idea and you're turning it into something real that people can use on their phones.
I like that. Problem solving with a digital canvas.
Right.
So you need that mix of creativity
Yes.
and like the technical side, the actual skills.
Absolutely.
Which makes me wonder, is this even for everyone?
That is the question, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. This field, it's not easy. I'll say that.
Okay.
It's fast-paced, always changing, and you constantly have to be learning.
So what do you say to someone who's like, this all sounds amazing,
Yeah.
but is it really like me?
Got to weigh the pros and cons, right?
Okay, so lay it on me. What are the pros?
So the good stuff. This field is hot, hot, hot right now.
Yeah.
Like the demand is incredible, which means job security, often working remotely.
Work from home.
You get to be at the forefront of everything, building things people actually use daily. You're making your mark on the world.
Right.
But, okay, we got to address the challenges.
Of course, there are always challenges.
It's not all sunshine and roses.
No. Be prepared for long hours, deadlines that are like right there.
Oh, yeah.
But I'd say the biggest one is just constantly having to stay updated.
Oh, gosh, yeah, because
Things move so fast.
one day it's this, the next day it's totally different.
You got to be learning all the time, which RoleCatcher, they really emphasized that.
They did, yeah. They were all about that continuous learning,
Yeah.
online courses, certifications, even stuff on their own platform. They're all about it.
Which makes sense. You got to stay marketable, set yourself apart.
Stand out from the crowd, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so let's say someone's convinced, they're like, I'm in.
Okay.
What are those first steps they got to take? How do they go from just like loving apps to making apps?
Passion is great, but yeah, you need a plan.
Structure. Got to have it.
RoleCatcher, they really nailed it on this.
What'd they say?
Build a portfolio. Oh, okay. So it's not just like,
It's proof, you know.
yeah, it's one thing to say you can do it. It's another to show it.
Exactly. And internships. Can't forget those.
Get that real world experience because
The best way to learn.
experience sometimes is just as good as all that formal stuff, right?
Absolutely.
Speaking of formal stuff, RoleCatcher mentioned degrees, computer science,
Oh, yeah, that's the class.
software engineering, even graphic design, they said, can be helpful.
It all ties in because think about it. You might know how to build something, but the education.
The why behind it.
Exactly. It gives you that deeper understanding.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got the skills, you're building your portfolio, and then comes the job hunt.
The fun part, right.
Yeah, is it really just endless scrolling on job boards?
It can feel that way,
Yeah.
but places like RoleCatcher, they're trying to change that whole game.
Oh, okay. How so?
They've got this job board, but it pulls from tons of places, so you're not...
They're not jumping all over the place.
Exactly. It's streamlined.
Streamlined, I like it.
Makes it so much easier.
But even then, you don't want any job.
No, you want the right fit.
It's got to be the right fit, aligning with your skills, your interests.
100%. And that's where they've got this CV analysis tool.
Okay, what's that do?
It basically helps you tailor your CV to each job description.
So you're not sending out the same generic thing to a million places.
No, you're showing them, you get it, you get their needs, you put in the effort.
Work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. And speaking of which, interviews. We got to talk about those.
Oh boy, everyone's favorite.
Everyone gets nervous, it's normal.
I still get nervous.
But RoleCatcher, they've got this really cool approach to prepping.
Okay, what is it?
They have this massive database of interview questions, but here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's tailored, so it's not just general advice.
So it's specific to mobile app development.
Exactly.
That's smart.
And they even have this AI thing where you can practice, record yourself answering.
Whoa, hold on, AI. Like, it listens to you and gives you feedback.
Yeah, it's like having a coach in your pocket.
That's wild. This is all incredibly helpful, but I'm
Yeah.
thinking about someone just starting out, you know.
Fresh out of school, yeah.
Yeah, fresh out of school, or maybe they're switching careers.
Right, making a change.
Are there even like entry-level jobs in this field, or is it all about experience?
It's a good question. A lot of people wonder that.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are definitely entry-level positions.
Okay, that's good to hear. But how do you even stand out when you don't have like years of experience?
This is where all that stuff we talked about comes in.
Okay, so the portfolio,
Portfolio, those projects,
the internships.
you got to show them initiative, that you're eager to learn.
So you're not just applying for a job, you're showing them what you can bring to the table.
Exactly. That you're invested in a career, not just a job.
Okay, I like that distinction. That's good.
It makes a difference.
It does. So let's say you land that dream job. What's next? Where do you even go from there?
That's where it gets interesting because it's not always linear,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, okay, so not just climbing a ladder.
more like choose your own adventure.
Oh, I like that.
But generally, you might start as a junior developer, then more senior roles, leading teams, making bigger decisions.
So there's definitely room to move up, both in like your skills and as a leader.
Absolutely. And if you're feeling really ambitious, you could even start your own company.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. Or go freelance, pick your projects.
Endless possibilities.
Very much.
I love it. But let's break down those stages a bit, those career stages.
Okay, yeah.
Because RoleCatcher had those three main ones, entry-level, junior, and then senior mobile app developer.
Makes sense, yeah.
So what's different between each stage? Like, what does that progression actually look like?
Think of it as your responsibilities evolving, right?
Okay.
So entry level, you're like a sponge, soaking everything up,
You're learning the ropes,
helping the senior devs, coding, testing, fixing errors.
the fundamentals.
Exactly. Then you move up to junior, you've got more freedom.
Oh,
You're building more on your own, working with designers.
taking on more responsibility.
You got it. Putting those skills to work.
And then finally, senior developer. What's that shift like?
Now you're the leader.
Okay.
You're mentoring others, making sure the code is top-notch, working directly with clients
So
sometimes.
you got the technical stuff down. You're leading a team. You're the point person for clients.
You're like the Jedi Master of mobile apps.
I love it. That is a fantastic analogy.
It's a journey, that's for sure, but a rewarding one.
With all this talk about AI, though,
Oh, yeah.
is there ever a point where human developers, like, are they obsolete?
That's the big question, isn't it?
This is a big one.
But even with all this AI stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I think human creativity, problem solving, that's always going to be essential.
So it's not about humans versus AI.
No, not at all.
It's about humans with AI.
Exactly. AI can automate, which is great,
Ah.
but it can't replicate that ingenuity, that human touch.
What that spark.
Yes. We bring that to the table.
So instead of fearing it, we should be, like, working with it.
Exactly. Partnership, that's key, which is something RoleCatcher talked about with their Copilot AI.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more about this Copilot AI.
So imagine you've got this AI assistant
Yeah.
helping you every step of the way.
With what? Like, what does it actually do?
It helps you make your CV amazing. It helps you prep for interviews.
Wow, that's, like, personalized.
It's like having a career coach right there with you.
Okay, but how does it actually work?
Well, it uses all this AI stuff to look at data, see patterns,
Right?
and then it gives you advice based on that.
So it's like having a personal editor and a career coach all rolled into one.
Exactly. Like, say you're applying for a job, it'll analyze the description, your skills, even how you write.
Wow.
And it'll suggest ways to improve, highlight the right stuff.
That's incredible. And then what about for interviews?
It can listen to you practice and give feedback.
Whoa, hold on. It analyzes how you're talking.
It even looks at your video if you're doing a video interview.
That is next level. I feel like most people get nervous in interviews.
Oh, totally.
This is like, it levels the playing field.
That's the idea.
It gives you confidence.
Exactly.
That's incredible, but does it just focus on the technical side of job hunting?
Good question.
Or does it also, like, help you with the soft skills?
Well, those soft skills, they're super important too.
Oh, for sure. Things like communication, teamwork, problem solving.
Yes. Especially in a field like this.
Because it's so fast-paced, so collaborative.
You got it.
So how does Copilot AI help with that?
It might not, like, teach you those skills directly, but it helps you show them off.
Oh,
So when you're writing your CV, prepping for an interview.
it's like it helps you present your best self,
Exactly.
highlighting those human strengths.
Because those are important too. It's not just about the code.
We've covered so much. Anything else our listeners absolutely need to know about this career?
You know, RoleCatcher, they really stress this. personal branding.
Okay, wait. So now we're talking influencers for code. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to be posting selfies with lines of JavaScript.
Not quite. It's more about building your online presence as a professional.
Oh, okay. So like a digital portfolio, but more than that.
Yeah, it's like your online resume, but it's also a chance to tell your story, highlight what makes you unique.
Okay, I can get behind that. Much better than me trying to go viral on TikTok with Python.
Definitely not what we're talking about.
But where do you even start with personal branding? It seems kind of vague.
RoleCatcher actually has some great tips.
Like what?
They said start with a professional LinkedIn profile, create a website to showcase your work,
Okay.
and contribute to open source projects.
Open source projects, what are those?
Those are projects where the code is freely available for anyone to use or modify.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a big collaboration.
Exactly. It's a great way to show off your skills and give back to the community.
That's awesome. So you're not just building something for yourself, you're building something for everyone.
Exactly. And it's a great way to learn from other developers.
So it's a win-win.
Totally.
We've talked about a lot of different ways to get your foot in the door.
It's all about putting yourself out there.
But once you're in, how do you stay ahead of the curve? Because technology changes so quickly.
It's a constant learning process, you're right.
It's like a treadmill that never stops.
It can feel like that sometimes.
So how to keep up?
RoleCatcher had some good advice for that too.
Like what?
They said go to conferences, read industry blogs, and experiment with new technologies in your free time.
So you've got to be like a lifelong learner.
Exactly. The learning never stops in this field.
This has been incredible. I feel like I've learned so much. We've talked about coding, career paths, interview skills, even personal branding.
A lot to take in.
It is, but it's all so fascinating.
It really is.
We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll dive even deeper into this exciting world of mobile app development. And we're back, diving right back into this whole mobile app development thing.
It's a big world out there, lots to explore.
It is. And, you know, I was looking through our stuff from RoleCatcher, and they had this whole section on job titles.
Oh yeah, the different titles.
Yeah, and I was like, wait a minute, there are other names for mobile app developers.
There are a lot, actually. It's kind of funny.
It is kind of funny because it's the same job, right?
Pretty much, yeah. But you'll see stuff like mobile app developer, obviously that's the main one, but then there's ICT application configurator, or even embedded systems software developer.
Okay, hold on. ICT, what even is that?
Right. It stands for Information and Communications Technology. Basically, it's a broader term for all that tech stuff, computers, networks, software, you name it.
So an ICT application configurator is like someone who specializes in apps for like businesses.
Exactly. They might work on apps for very specific needs, maybe a certain industry, or even a specific company.
So it's not just about making games or those social media apps that everyone's glued to.
Nope, you can be working on anything. Medical devices, self-driving cars, you name it.
That is wild. The range of stuff is incredible.
It really is, which is why you got to keep an open mind during your job search.
Oh, so don't just search for mobile app developer.
Exactly. Branch out a little. You might be surprised at what you find.
Cast a wider net. I like it.
Exactly. More opportunities that way.
But, okay, with all those different titles, all those specializations, is there like a common thread? What are the core skills that every aspiring app developer absolutely needs to know?
At the end of the day, it all comes down to those programming languages, the foundation.
Okay, so we're talking like Java, Swift, what else?
Kotlin, C++, those are the big ones, the languages that most mobile apps are built on.
So it's like learning the alphabet before you can write a novel?
Exactly. And just like, you wouldn't use a hammer to tighten a screw.
Right, different tools for different jobs.
You got to pick the right language for the job you want to do. iOS development, that's Swift. Android, you're looking at Java or Kotlin.
So you got to know your goals, what you want to create.
Exactly. And once you've got those languages down, you can start exploring frameworks and libraries.
Frameworks, libraries, those sound even more complicated.
They sound scarier than they are, honestly.
Okay, good.
Think of them like pre-written code, little helpers that make building an app faster and more efficient.
So it's like having a toolbox full of pre-made parts and you just assemble them.
Exactly.
You got it.
That makes a lot more sense, less intimidating that way.
It's all about breaking it down into smaller steps, just like learning anything new.
Speaking of breaking things down, do you have to be like a math genius to be a good mobile app developer?
That's a good question. And honestly, a lot of people ask that.
Because I was never great at calculus, does that mean this whole career path is just like out the window?
Not at all. While some math skills can be helpful, you definitely don't need to be the next Einstein to build a successful app.
Okay, that's a relief.
And some of the best developers I know are more creative than mathematical.
Oh, interesting.
They're great at solving problems, designing intuitive user experiences, bringing their ideas to life through code, and the math, that's just one small part of it. So it's more about how you think, how you approach problems.
Exactly.
That makes sense because there's this idea that tech is all about being super technical.
Right.
But there's so much more to it than that.
There is. You need that mix of technical skills and creativity, but also communication, teamwork, problem solving.
With soft skills.
Exactly. Just as important as knowing how to write code.
Speaking of which, RoleCatcher had that section on interview prep. What are some questions that, like, wannabe mobile app developers should be ready for, especially if they're trying to show off those soft skills?
Well, they actually give you a bunch of examples, which is super helpful.
All right.
If you're just starting out, expect questions about why you're passionate about this, what projects you've worked on, even if they're just personal ones, and your willingness to learn.
They want to see that enthusiasm. That
Exactly.
you're not just there for a paycheck, you actually care about this stuff.
Exactly. Now, if you've got some experience under your belt, be ready to talk about specific projects, the challenges you faced, the
Sure.
skills you developed.
So they're not just looking for what you can do, but how you talk about it.
Exactly.
Communication is key. I like it.
It makes a difference, whether you're explaining some complex code or talking about your role in a team.
Don't be afraid to toot your own horn a little bit.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, RoleCatcher had this whole thing about personal branding, which, I'll be honest, sounded a little intimidating at first.
It can sound like that, but it's really not as complicated as it seems.
Okay, good.
It's about building your online presence, showing the world what you're capable of.
So less about becoming Instagram famous, more about creating a digital portfolio.
Exactly. Think of it as your online resume, but even better because you can really showcase your personality, your passion.
I like that it's about taking control of your narrative.
Exactly.
But how do you even begin building a personal brand? It still seems a little mysterious.
RoleCatcher had some really practical advice, which I appreciated.
Oh, good. Like what?
They said, start with a professional LinkedIn profile. Make a website where you can show off your projects and contribute to open source projects.
Okay, I've heard that term open source, but I'm not entirely sure what it means.
It basically means the code is freely available for anyone to use or change.
Oh, interesting. So it's like a big collaborative coding project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a fantastic way to show potential employers what you can do, plus you're giving back to the community.
I like that. It's a win-win.
Totally.
We've talked about a lot of different ways to get your foot in the door in this field.
It's about putting yourself out there, showing them what you're made of.
But once you're in, how do you stay ahead of the curve? Because technology changes so quickly.
It's a constant challenge, definitely.
It's like a treadmill that never stops.
Tell me about it.
So how do you keep up?
RoleCatcher had some really good advice for that. They said, go to conferences, read industry blogs, and experiment with new technologies in your free time.
So it's all about constantly learning, constantly evolving.
Pretty much the learning never stops in this field.
It sounds exhausting, but also exciting.
It is both, that's for sure. But that's what keeps things interesting, right?
That's true. This has been incredible. I feel like I've gotten a crash course in mobile app development. We've talked about coding, careers, interviews, even personal branding.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have, but it's all so fascinating, and I'm sure our listeners are eager to hear more.
I'm sure they are. There's always more to learn in this field.
That's for sure. We're going to take another quick break, but stick with us as we wrap up this incredible deep dive into the dynamic world of mobile app development. And we're back one last time for our mobile app development deep dive.
Time flies when you're talking about apps, right?
It really does. So we've covered a ton of ground here, from the technical stuff to the whole career side of things.
And everything in between.
Exactly. And, one thing I keep thinking about from all this role catcher stuff is how much they focus on the human element.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, like remembering there's an actual person using the app,
It's crucial and something a lot of people forget, especially in a field that seems so tech-heavy.
Because when you think coding, you don't usually think empathy, right?
Right. But it's all about understanding the user, what they need, what frustrates them, what they want to achieve.
So it's like putting yourself in their shoes, making sure the app isn't just functional, but actually enjoyable to use.
Exactly. The best app developers, they're not just writing code, they're crafting experiences.
It's like the difference between a robot giving you directions and a friend who actually gets where you're coming from.
That's a great way to put it. It's that human connection, remembering you're building something for a person, not just a device.
Technology should work for us, not the other way around.
100%.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us back to what we've been saying all along, this career path. It's open to anyone who's passionate.
You don't have to be a tech whiz.
Nope. Just someone who's eager to learn, wants to create.
Exactly. And that's what I like about RoleCatcher. They're making this whole field more accessible.
They are. They're giving people the tools, the guidance. It's great.
It's like they're saying, hey, if you've got the ideas, we can help you make them a reality.
Love it. Bridging that gap between like dreaming and doing.
Because who knows where the next big app idea is going to come from? It could be someone listening to us right now.
That's what's so exciting about this field. Anyone can be a part of it.
It's true. This has been an amazing deep dive. I feel like we've only scratched the surface, though.
There's always more to learn, always new technologies popping up.
But that's what keeps it interesting, right?
Exactly. It's always evolving, always challenging you to grow.
Well, to all our listeners out there, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible journey.
We hope you feel inspired, maybe a little more equipped to take on the world of mobile app development.
Remember, it all starts at that first step, that spark of curiosity. So keep learning, keep creating, and who knows? Maybe we'll be downloading your app in the near future.